Welcome to Media Presents Family Matters, and I'm your host for this program tonight. My name is Steve Smith, and you have been listening and watching Jamie Pauls, who is a blind musician, and we'll be talking with Jamie personally and one-on-one in just a minute. But I'd like to introduce to you my other guests, if I might, as we talk about Braille or books for the blind. On my immediate right is Lucille Speise. Is that pretty close? We've been talking about me mispronouncing your name, Ms. Speise. And then on her right, we have the chairman of the advisory committee, Ms. Dolores Benjamin. And then on her right, we have the computer consultant, Mr. Jack Hofer. Is that correct pronunciation? Okay. Let me come back to you, if I might, Ms. Benjamin, and start talking with you about the organization through the Beth Shalom Temple and your organization. Tell me what your organization does and how it got started and so forth.
Well, the Sisterhood is an organization that serves the women of the synagogue in all kinds of educational ways primarily. They aim to stir up social action, and that is where we come in. They helped us to start the committee, the Braille Committee, in March of 1959. So next year we'll be celebrating a 30th anniversary. We began this committee quite by accident. I had been active in all kinds of committees of the Sisterhood, and I went to a branch conference of the Midwest branch, which stretches all the way from 2 provinces in Canada on down. Missouri is the south of it, and it goes from Colorado to Missouri on the east and west. And we watched a program that was put on by 2 Braille committees from Omaha and from Des Moines, who had established Braille groups, and very successful, very wonderful groups. Nobody remembers what that program consisted of. We only know how we felt after we watched it. And 5 women drove back to Kansas City in a car. Now, you know how long that takes from Waterloo, Iowa? A long time. And we kept going back to that program all the way. By the time we got to Kansas City, we agreed that starting a Braille committee was what our group should do, and I agreed to be the chairman.
So you were the first chairman back in 1959? Right. Have you been chairman the whole time? Or
most of the time. For a while, I listened to them when they said we should rotate chairmanships like every other committee. But the committee just about fell on its face because the rotated chairman didn't really understand how to give the volunteers the TLC that they needed. So I took it back, and I've just forgotten the chairs of the organization. And
but you were there. You saw the vision initially and responded accordingly.
Right.
Yeah. What's your main task? What is your ultimate goal? What are you trying to do right now?
Well, it sounds like pie in the sky, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to assure blind people of the same opportunities in life that the rest of us have. And we feel that education is at the root of it. And so for us to provide books for education is where it all is. And so that's what we do. We prepare Braille books for various kinds of education, not only academic, but daily living skill and all sorts of things.
Okay. You were talking about books for the blind. We have some samples here, if I might show them. What I have here in my hand at this time is just a very small cookbook made by a specific company to utilize their equipment and so forth. And you can see somewhat how flimsy it is. I guess we could mention this company is originally in Kansas City. But it's normal for us that are seeing, that can be able to read the different kinds of recipes and so forth. So this is what would be for a normal person of normal eyesight. And then right next to that I have, as you can see here, a book that is for those with larger, it's called large print. Thank you. Help me with my terminology here. For large print with people whose eyes maybe not be as normal as we would think. So you can see there's a little bit difference in this. Now I'm going to put these down.
If you want to open a page and show
okay,
them what
maybe I
that
can do
size
that.
is.
That's a good idea. You can see the difference here and the
Here, I'll hold on.
and the printing. Okay, you can see there's a little bit difference because of the different size in the print, and that's why it's called the large type edition of the Rival Crock Pot Cookery. Now I'm going to put these down and show the difference between these two different books like this, and then these two different books, which are the same small book. That's correct now? So it takes these two sizes of books, and as you can see, these are not small at all.
No, that's standard Braille size.
This is standard Braille size. It has the typical Braille kind of
embossed dots.
Embossed. Okay, thank you, Lucille. Embossed dots so that a person that is sight impaired could be able to read this. And so you can see there's quite a bit of difference in the printing or the preparation of the smaller book that we with normal eyesight might be able to respond to versus these kind of sites. So this is what you're working toward, is providing the equivalent books for the those with hearing inside, those
Vision
with
impaired.
vision impaired, so that they will have the same opportunities we did with what we consider normal eyesight.
Right,
at that point.
right.
Okay. Let me get you involved, if I might, Lucille, at this point, because you are the teacher of the class. Well, no, you explain to me what you do. I'll just leave it that way.
Well, as far as the teaching is concerned, it's taught a little bit like correspondence school. We meet the people, and then they use the Braille books that the Library of Congress supplies, and they are
So in other words, you're teaching individuals how to type or to read Braille.
how to transcribe material into Braille.
Okay.
And these books are put out by the Library of Congress, and each lesson has drills, and then it has a lesson. And they do the drills at home, and then they send me the lesson, and I check the lesson and return it to them.
Okay.
And that's more or less the way it's taught. We have meetings and get-togethers to boost morale a little bit and to get acquainted, but that's mostly what it amounts to.
Okay.
The Braille system
Okay. Let me hold this up for our viewers, if I might, here.
is, now the very top shows a Braille cell, and you'll notice the numbers by the dots, and that each dot has a number position. And that's what we call a Braille cell. It consists of 6 dots. And then down below, we have an A and a B and a C and a D and an E, which just shows how the letters of the alphabet are arranged with dots. These same letters, having another little sign in front of it, will make a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we just chose some of the signs where you use one symbol for several letters, like and is here, and for, you just add another dot and you make for, and here you used to have the, and you add another dot and you have with. And then down below is another indication that we have a word as long as knowledge, and it's all shown by 2 dots which stand for K. And then over here is mother, and we use that with the 2 symbols. Here's a dot 5, and this is an M for mother. That just shows a little bit of what our Braille system really consists of. It has short forms, it has the alphabet, has lots of rules, because when you're moving 6 dots around enough to make numbers, punctuation, alphabet, everything you need to know, you have to use some of the dots in different ways in order to make enough system for 66 different, we actually have 66 different symbols, and you have to use them different ways in order, like putting the dot 5 in front of the M.
I was going to say, how can you tell whether when you come, say, to the end of a sentence that it's the end of a sentence or it's the letter A?
It has a period.
Okay.
And the period is dots 2, 5, 6.
Now we talked about, I mean, we showed this, and it shows just as black dots on this
Yes,
page
well,
here.
when you read them, when
It's-
blind people read them, they're raised dots, or as we say, embossed.
Okay, we will look, I think, a little bit closer, especially when Jamie starts playing for us. You were going to show us something and talk to us about the dominoes.
Well, we were thinking about how Louis Braille actually invented the Braille system with the dots.
Oh, so it was named after an individual then?
Well, Louis Braille is the one that actually started the system
okay.
in France. And we feel, and I think other people felt, that he got this idea from dominoes. And you can see that there's a very similarity there.
Okay, with the normal
the little
system,
dots.
normal system people are familiar with on the dominoes with the different.
The only difference in the dominoes and in the Braille system is the dominoes are indented, and the Braille is embossed, is humps.
Okay, so it's convex versus concave then. Is that be another correct way of putting
That's
it?
right.
Okay. Now show us this tablet here.
Well, they started using this to write Braille. And when you write Braille this way, you're punching down.
So you're punching opposite?
So you're writing from this, you start writing from this side because you're pressing down. And then you write along each line.
Right to left as the Hebrews read.
Yes. And then whenever you want to read it, you need to open it up and turn it over. And then you read it the regular way because then the dots are up.
So in essence, though, you are pushing the dots opposite the way they will actually appear. Okay, that would take quite a bit of mental knowledge.
It's
or-
getting used to the idea of remembering the dot numbers, actually.
Okay, all right.
And the only thing you can use to erase Braille is actually just a little wooden stick that's rounded off that presses the dots down. The dots tend to come back up again, especially if it's mailed back and forth to the proofreader. That's one reason why we are very interested in doing computer Braille, because on the computer you can make the corrections without
I
worrying
was going to
about
say,
these.
when you do something such as this or with the Braille writer, I'm sure you've got to be 100% accurate or you blow it, in other words. Okay. Can we talk a little bit about, I'm calling this the Braille writer now.
That's right.
That's, and this was a great invention compared to the slate and stylus.
Oh, yes.
Was the Braille writer. And each one of these keys stands for a dot.
There are 6 of them, is
There are
that
6
correct?
of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is line spacers and all those things, but these are the actual keys.
So this is similar to a typewriter.
But you press down, say the symbol that I showed for far has 6 dots, and on that you would press down all 6 of these at the same time.
Okay.
And sometimes you press down 1, sometimes you press 2, or this way. And so there's a lot of work in doing, you know, you have to press on it, and you have to press with more than one finger at a time.
Let me say, what we have up here is, I'm not sure what the technical terminology is, but this is where the holes are punched. So
That's embossed, and,
Okay.
and the dots are raised.
And so as she was pushing down, and I don't think you'll be able to see this unless you have on our cameras here tonight, is each time that she was pushing that, you can see how the little stylus up there is moving a little bit, so that it does, it dings just like a regular thing. Okay. How do I get it back then?
Well-
Is that what this is?
You press it down and go over like this.
Okay, and then you start pushing again, and it automatically feeds it up one just like a regular pack. Okay.
So that was quite an invention after the stylus.
When did Mr. Braille start this process?
Well,
We
we're-
think was about 150 years ago.
Okay, so when did it become mechanical? Up until this time, I assume they used this kind of system
About
here.
50 years.
So they've been using this for approximately 50 years.
Yes.
Now we're ready to move into the space age and the computer age, and that's where Jake comes in, right?
You can call me Jack.
Jack.
I'm sorry. What did I call you, Jake?
Before you
for?
talk to Jack, I'd just like
Okay.
to make one point for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
audience. All of the forms that Lucille was speaking of that are taught to the volunteer, those same forms are taught to the visually impaired person, only he reads them with his fingers.
Okay.
The volunteer does not read them with her fingers or his fingers.
Oh, I see.
We do it visually.
I would assume then you would accept volunteers to come and work with you and learn how to transcribe and to do this, would you not?
Oh, boy, would we.
Okay, so let me encourage our viewers at that point. If you would like, we're going to be occasionally projecting the picture or the number that you might be able to call for the, what's it called, the Braille Committee? Is
Yes,
that correct?
right.
The Braille Committee. So you feel free to call that number if you would like to have more information or would like to be a volunteer for them. It's on your screen right now, 648-5984. Okay. Is that